Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Will Thompson, formerly of Detroit Country Day Boys Lacrosse. I can say that now because obviously he graduated and stuff.
Right.
How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Happy
Yeah,
to
no
be
problem.
here.
Yeah, no problem. So I know it's been probably a little over a month, little under a month since the championship game. What has it been like since that day?
Um, it's kind of surreal. It's funny. I actually just rewatched the game for the first time 2 nights ago, and I remember just watching it and being like, dude, it's all like a blur. Like I don't remember that. You know what I mean? And it was something that was just so special that like I truly feel like all of us and my teammates and I like just it was pure emotion and passion. And that it was just raw emotion. And in that moment, we just played our best and lived it up. So it was a surreal experience.
So I know the story is that, you know, you guys have been, knocking on the door for so long. And you always came up short. But really, when Oliver, your teammate, was on here, he kind of talked about like, this being this year was just like, let's just go out and do it. We know how to get there. We just got to go do it.
That's right. Yeah, no, it was this year was unique for sure. And we've had great leadership in the past. My sophomore year, we had, plenty of guys going D1, and those guys I like looked up to and continue to look up to because they're just great guys, great players. But this year, there's definitely something different about our team. And I don't know if I'm saying that because I'm a senior and it's my last go and or whatnot, but you could just tell that in that playoff run that we'd get on that bus and everyone had the same goal and the same mindset is that if we play our best, it does not matter who is playing us and how good they play because we will win. So
So
yeah,
in Division 2, when you look at the teams that are in there, I mean, you don't have to deal with Brother Rice or CC or Heartland or anything like that. Obviously, I know you played a couple of those teams in the regular season, but but there were still a lot of really good teams, that were in the mix. You had, Forest Hills, you had East Grand Rapids, of course, the team that you played in the championship game
right.
with Forest Hills Eastern. It was a tough road to get there, but really, what was that game where it was like, maybe, we got a shot at this, we can do this.
Um, I think there's a few moments that like really defined us as a team. So we took a trip down to Carmel, Indiana, early May, and so we had a weekend down there, and we drove down there on a Friday, and went out and played Cathedral, who was a super talented team. They've got probably the best face-off guy that I've ever played in my life. Like the kid was unreal, and we we struggled in the first half. I mean, we probably had, you know, 10 minutes of penalties, 8 or 10 minutes of penalties in the first half. And we were kind of struggling offensively, couldn't really find a groove, despite like knowing that like we're way more talented, way more capable of whatever we were doing in that first half. And then that second half, that third quarter, we came back and um, pulled out a great 10-9 win. And that game was just, it was kind of cool because it was probably the first moment this year that I realized like, yeah, like this team is just unique. We're special. Like we are on the road in Indiana. It's hot. You just got off a 5-hour bus ride. You're down 5 goals in the second half and you come back and win it. That one felt pretty good. And then the second game was honestly probably the EGR semifinal. Um, I I went in. That was probably the scariest game of my life. It wasn't the championship, it was that game because um I just like knew that like if I could get to that point again, right? Like you said, like we've been there twice. If I can get there again, like there's nothing that's gonna get in my way. but I fear that like if we get ahead of ourselves that we might not even get an opportunity at that. And I remember that bus ride over there to it was at Howell Parker. Um, the guys were just so locked in. Everyone had the same like butterfly feeling in their stomach because they knew that if we win this one, then we're right where we want to be. And after that game, we played one of our more complete games of the year, beat them by 8, 15-7, and that bus ride home was so fun. And the guys, we were all just excited because we knew we got another opportunity to, practice one more time and then go out there and win it all. So those two games were super cool.
Yeah. To win a state championship, I know that Coach Garland has kind of, built this program into what it is. Um, Obviously this program has won a state championship before.
Right.
Luckily enough, it was 10 years ago, the last one.
Mhm.
But, what were some of the things that, that now you can take away to now knowing that you will forever be known as a state champion? What does that mean to you?
It's kind of just something that like you don't really understand the feeling of it, even though like you watch others, like our girls team won it last year and what like they had a great year this year too. And but like it's just something that like you're so like grateful for just because, we put in so much work in the off season and I know that the guys want it just as bad as I do and that so like it was just it was very rewarding to know that all the work that we put in the off season was worth it in the end, and now it's just kind of cool that we'll forever get to carry that with us. So
Yeah. So, like, what does lacrosse mean to you?
kind of grown up around the sport. My dad played. He actually played at Country Day. He introduced us, my sister and I, to the game when we were super young. Um, And I don't know, it's kind of always something that I've just had with me, like where like whenever, times are good, times are bad, whatnot. But it's it's kind of one of those things where it was like I knew, like I was when I was younger, I was pretty good, and then as I grew or as I got older, everyone got bigger and stronger and faster, and I didn't really grow. I was a late bloomer. And then my freshman, sophomore year, didn't play much, didn't really have any real contribution to the team. But then, my junior, senior year, I like to think I had some pretty good seasons. And it's super, once again, super rewarding, especially like looking back at like kind of my path and it wasn't normal. So that's just something I'll forever be grateful for.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a senior class that's really small. I mean, there's only six of you. Um, but what's it like to have, that as the six of you kind of go along in your separate ways? Just kind of describe like how close the six of you actually are.
Yeah, no, it's so with Shafiq and Oliver, those are two guys that I've played with for 10 years now, which is crazy to say. And those guys are just those are some of my closest friends off the field. And Shafiq won the state champs player of the year award, and he's so deserving of that, and that I'm so proud of him for winning that. That's amazing for him. And Oliver is just a guy. He's super humble. I'm sure you got to know him a little bit. He's
Yeah.
a humble guy, works so hard, and it paid off. I mean, you saw he had, I think, 4 goals in the state championship game. And then, Caden, Jack, and Trevor, they're guys that we so quickly like bonded, especially this year. And they're guys that like I'll hopefully stay in touch with forever, and we'll always have this to remember.
Absolutely. I mean, um, Okay, so I know it's only been a month, but have the rings been picked out, selected? Where are we at in that?
They have not. That's actually one thing that I need to do. I need to like email someone at our school because we have done nothing. So I promise they will get done though. I will not do this and not get a ring.
Yeah, you need to get one of those things. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I know Jostens makes a lot of the championship rings for a lot of the schools. So, but I know they've done a pretty good job. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I think I'm gonna reach out to like one of our athletic, assistant athletic directors or something, just see if they, have a company that they go to typically and
yeah.
figure it out that way. But yeah, that's definitely something I need to start doing, start figuring it out.
Okay. So let's go back. Graduation. Did you ever think that day would come?
Um, it was kind of weird because we were as a senior at Country Day, you go on senior project. And so I was done with classes like April 27th. So I had been off for a long time. Um, and I remember, you're super excited to go on project because that means it pretty much marks the end, right, of your high school career. But but then it just took so long. It felt like an eternity for graduation to come. And I honestly no, I didn't really ever think the day would come. And the day when the day comes that I go off to college, that's gonna be really scary too. But um I just I left on such a high that it was such a great feeling. So
Yeah.
it was all right.
Yeah, I know you're not. Okay, what is senior project for people that may not know?
It's just like a opportunity for students to um go out and um shadow or work or do an unpaid internship. It's all unpaid.
Yeah.
Um, so like a lot of time, people will shadow like doctors or lawyers or go, intern at a private equity firm or something like that. So it's just a way for students to get a little bit of like real world experience before heading off to college.
So what did you go do?
So my aunt owns a cookie business, and I went and helped her recalculate all of her costs of her like recipes and stuff because she hadn't done it in 2 or 3 years. So she even said she's like, "Oh, I don't even know if I'm making money," and I'm like, "That's not a good thing."
Right.
Um, so I created like an Excel spreadsheet for her that makes it super easy, so she can just like type in numbers and it'll spit out a bunch of data, like whether like accounting for, insurance, website fees, packaging, ingredients, how much you value your time. So that's what I did.
You talk about like that more on the business side of things and stuff like that. Kind of relates to, it kind of relates to where I'm kind of going with this.
Hmm.
Um, I mentioned what's next. Um, you're heading to where?
So I'm going to the University of Michigan where I'll be studying business at the Ross School of Business. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ross School. I mean, okay. So now, I mean, to get into the Ross School of Business, and obviously, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if a lot of freshmen get into that.
Yeah,
What's it like for you to
it
to
was um it's funny. I was actually after a workout, I was shooting in the field house and it like totally didn't cross my mind that, the Ross decisions could have come out. And I remember I like was just shooting around and then I was wrapping up and I checked my phone. I was like, oh, I got in like, and it was, I was alone. No one else was there. I was like, oh, geez, like that's pretty cool. And I've grown up a diehard Michigan fan. I'm sure you can see the helmets back there. And
yeah.
so I've always dreamed of going to Michigan. And when I, grew up and decided that I think I want to go into business, Ross was my number one choice. And I got in there, and honestly, I didn't get into I got into a few other safety schools, but I didn't get into my other, top choices. But I think that's just a testament to, like you have a plan, right? And guys got a plan. So I
Right.
got into my top choice, and um, I'm super excited to go there. I'm very excited.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, bud.
That's
So,
right.
you talk about Michigan. Of course, the championship was at Michigan's Lacrosse Stadium.
Yeah.
That had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was super cool. And I've got a former teammate who goes there, and so I've been there. Ryan Linklip, he plays there, and so I've been to that field numerous times, and to be able to play on it and you know dominate and win it all, like that was super cool.
It was, yeah, fun to be there. Yeah, obviously that field's hosted a lot of big events, and ran into Coach Connery that day, and he was pretty exciting of where that program has kind of come, especially
Yeah,
in the last few years, especially
yeah,
where that stadium has been to, of course, hosting the Big Ten championships a handful of years ago. So, yeah, fun stuff. Um, all right, well, let's get to know you a little bit. Will, how about that?
sure.
Yeah, what's the best sports moment you've been a part of or you've watched on TV? You gotta have one for both. I think I know both of them, but go ahead and say them anyway.
Best sports moment I've been a part of is obviously June 8th, 2024. That day will forever be with me, and uh it was winning it all. I mean, it's honestly a dream come true. And losing twice in a row and then coming back and winning it my senior year definitely was the cherry on top to an amazing time with the Country Day program and the guys around me. Um, Best sports moment that I've watched is honestly got to be this year. I'm not sure if I'm sure you are
Yeah,
a hockey fan. I kind of fell in love with the Red Wings the last couple of years,
yeah,
and I don't know how to play hockey. I can't skate. Um, I'm sure my stick skills would be all right, but I can't skate for my life. And I like no one in my family plays like nothing. So I've got no connection to hockey, but I fell in love with the Wings the last couple of years. And this year, at the end of the year, as you know, that David Perron, 3 seconds left from the blue line slap shot,
yeah,
that was pretty freaking cool game
yeah.
to watch. I don't know if I'll we were spoiled with those last two games, so those were super
Really.
cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get any help from the Flyers, but it was that those games were cool.
Well, of course, Perron's now, of course, in Ottawa.
Yeah, he's going to the
Then
Senators.
you trade one St. Louis Blues legend with another, of course,
Yeah,
with Tarasenko coming in there. So,
Tarasenko. Yeah, they, Stevie's been he's been patient, but it's interesting seeing what he's done with the team this offseason.
it is interesting. I mean, it's like everyone gets on, Detroit with all the things that, all the teams that, not doing well. I think obviously with the Wings and obviously with what the Lions did this past season.
Yeah,
Hey, I just saw a stat yesterday. It's like I think Chicago, all the Chicago teams are like in last in their respective
yeah,
last or almost last in their divisions.
yeah, yeah. No,
Got it.
it's been a lot of fun watching them. They've been getting better for sure.
Um, let's see. What is okay, favorite like what's your go-to place for food?
Ooh, okay. I'd probably say Chipotle just because like I don't know, it's good food and it's a good bang for your buck. Like I'll never leave there hungry still. So I'm
Bowl
always
burrito guy?
I'm a bowl guy, but then I'll get like three or four of just like the small side tortillas and just make my own. It's
Yeah.
kind of dumb because it's pretty much the same thing, but it's what works.
And then finally, what's an interesting fact people don't know about you?
Mm, I don't know. Let me think. Um, I don't know. I love it's weird, but I love singing and like I like music a lot. So like you always hear me screaming out songs if there's ever music. So it's kind of something I get made fun of sometimes, but that's all right. I enjoy it. So
Yeah. Singing in the car, singing in the shower, and all that fun stuff.
everywhere, man.
You got to
Feeling
do it. You got to do it.
that's right.
Um, all right. Well, Will, thank you so much for coming on. Congrats on winning a state championship, and best of luck at Michigan and the Ross Business School. We may have to catch up with you again sometime.
Of course, I'd love to be back. Thank you so much for having me.